Right on.
Awesome. Nice. Nice.
Hey, Abe.
Thank you.
Matt,
Thank
how
you
you
very much.
doing?
I'm doing good, Charlie. How about yourself?
Once again, I have to look back there to see you. It always looks like I'm looking in the back of the room. It's good to be back in here, though.
I know you mean well.
So today is actually, this is going to be, well, Matt, I know you have a few announcements you want to make. Do you want to make those, towards the end, or you want to talk about some of that stuff up front?
Well, I can just jump in with a couple things. So
Go
first of
for it.
all, welcome to everybody. This is live stream, I think, number 7. So for those who have never joined, and I was gratified to see in the chat, there's actually a lot of people for whom this is their first. So the idea of this Roswell live stream, we call this the virtual showroom. The point is to let you guys come into the studio and hear mics firsthand. And I think it's really cool that thanks to Charlie, we're able to talk about mic placement and mic choice. And sometimes we get into things like, this mic worked fine, but for this particular production, this other mic was better because it brought out this band of frequencies or whatever. I think that's really helpful to a lot of people, helpful to me even, because I'm not an audio engineer, but
you designed them with that in mind, though, and that's what's one thing that's really cool is each new mic you come out with has a purpose.
Yes, I try not to build stuff that has no purpose. That is true.
I didn't mean to phrase it like that.
It's all good, man.
It has a different purpose than the previous microphone.
Yeah. Well, they all are supposed to sound different. I remember vividly being at NAMM years ago when I was doing the Recording Hacks website, which is like elevator pitch of that is Wikipedia for microphones, right? It's a website all about microphones. And I was talking to a guy who was the VP of engineering at this company good company, good people, nothing bad to say about them. But I said, well, so this microphone that you have is a large diaphragm, K67 style, transformerless. He says, yes. And I said, and this one next to it is also a large diaphragm, transformerless, K67 style capsule. He said, yes. And I said, so what's the difference? And he said, well, sometimes people like the taller one and sometimes people like the smaller one. I was just like, woo. So I don't do that. My microphones, ironically, don't always look different, but they do sound the same. Did I just say that backwards?
No, they don't sound the same.
Jesus.
See, now I'm wearing off on you.
They don't always look different, but they definitely don't sound the same.
Correct.
Yes, we're going to go with that. Okay. Anyway, so welcome to live stream number 7. Come into the studio with us. And tonight we have 2 great musician guests. So one is Abe Lagrimas Jr., who has been a Roswell endorsee for years. And this came about because Abe did a pandemic recording that you'll hear one song from in a little bit. So last year when everyone was locked down, he made an album and I got a copy of it and I dig it a lot. I play it all the time. And Roswell mics are all over it, which is always, fun for me to hear what people are doing with these tools. So Abe and I got back in touch and we were able to put this night together. And then Abe brought in bassist Gary Wicks, who I don't know, but I'm looking forward to hearing from tonight. So that's where this came from. So
soundcheck was fun. It sounds really good.
Yeah, so you can see Abe on screen there.
You're in for a treat.
Abe, thank you so much for joining.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Did you bring a copy of your record with you? Because I think the one I got was digital, so I can't have nothing to show.
Never leave home without it.
Right on.
So you guys gotta pick it up.
Yeah, so that's called Beyond Words.
Yep.
And so it's instrumental. Abe, would you classify it as jazz?
It's
how
got
would you classify it?
jazz world music element to it. It's all instrumental, but there's a lot of jazz on it, improvisation, and just some instrumental ukulele music.
And you play both ukulele and drums.
And the vibraphone on the record.
And the vibraphone,
Yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And we're going to give away 3 copies of that CD.
Great.
So
Awesome.
the way that's going to work is people who are watching, if you're watching, jump in the chat. The chat's running right now, I guess next to the video if you're watching on YouTube, and throw a comment in there. And what we'll do is after the stream, because I can't do it in real time, but after the stream, I'll grab a list of everyone who threw a comment up in there and do just a random drawing thing. And if you're domestic US, we'll send you the CD. And if you're elsewhere, we'll send you a download code for the, do you have MP3? I'm sure you have MP3s.
That works. Yeah. Yeah.
something else, maybe
digital
FLAC
copies
or something.
available as well.
Whatever we have, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to give away 3 copies of the CD, and that's happening. And then the other last announcement, and then we want to get into some of the stuff you guys came to watch, which is not me yapping, but we're giving away a microphone too. And the way that's going to work is it's going to be based on comments, and you can't leave a comment yet because YouTube doesn't do that. But after the stream's over, you can leave a comment. So throw a comment up on the video after the stream is over. And in 24 hours, we'll do the same thing. We'll look at all the comments, do a random number drawing. Adding a bunch of comments won't enter a bunch of times. So 1 entry per person. And we have to do it in 24 hours because I misannounced this as happening tomorrow night. And so, because Wednesday is the new Thursday. So,
hey, can I enter?
Don't you have enough Actually, no one has enough Roswell microphones. But yeah, so people who are going to tune in 24 hours thinking it's tomorrow, we're going to wait for them to see this and have a chance to put their comment up. So everyone gets a chance. So we'll do that tomorrow. That's all I got to say.
Perfect.
Yes. Can we move on? Music?
I'm going to get my alter ego, and I'm going to leave a comment. See if I can win me some Roswell microphones. Okay, so
can't get enough.
Today, just to let everybody know how we have things set up today, and we'll get into a little bit of listening here. We did some pre-recording of bass and drums. So we're going to be listening to what we tracked in the last couple hours through soundcheck. We do have the setups. It's all, we'll go through that, and then we'll talk about the bass a little bit too, and then we'll hear a few things with the ukulele. And Abe also, we had an interesting conversation about what mic he uses, which we have one of them set up out there, and then we'll hear the differences between a couple, and I'll tell you why I like both of them and how I might use them in some sort of real or different real world situations. So first off, drums. We use Delphi. Can you flip to that? Yep. We do have one camera still set up on L drums, so everybody can see it. There we go. You can't see the overheads. It's not far enough away. But we had a pair of Delphos 2 on the overheads. We have the Mini K 47KD on the kick. The snare top and bottom is the SDC 84 high SPL version. Then on the hat and ride, we have the regular SDC 84s. Those mics are fantastic. And all the toms are S25s. And then I set up a mono, one of my original Delphos, just in mono, just for a bit of a room mic. The drums sound amazing. Abe sounds great. He totally killed it. And then the bass, do we have that picture?
Oh yeah, coming up.
This one is this amp sounds amazing. What year is that? The Ampeg? What year's your Ampeg?
I think late 60s. I don't know the exact year.
It's a late 60s B15, and anyone who knows anything about B15s knows how cool that amp is. We have a single Colaris on there. We did take a DI, but I'm not going to be monitoring the DI at all for the broadcast, so we're only going to hear the microphones. And hey, Abe, real quick, I'm just going to roll back a little bit I'm just going to take a chunk of what you guys recorded just so everybody can hear it.
Great.
A little bit. So I'm going to start from where it kind of kicks in a little. Here, we'll take it from here. So here's the drums. Here's the bass amp. So there's a little taste of the track. One interesting thing that we're doing with the bass, it had a great tone out of the gates, and we were kind of just trying some different mics to see what flavor we wanted to use. And we we're gonna make an adjustment to the EQ on the bass, just in like kind of the mid-range area a little bit, just to see if we can get a little definition coming against the drums. And instead we decided, hey, let's throw the Kolaris up there, no pad on, so it's running full into the transformer, which is my personal fave, and instantly it fixed our problem. We didn't have to do anything. So it's just, you're flat on all the EQ, right?
Yep.
So bass is flat, and it's just that, beautiful B15, and then of course the bass player, it's all in the fingers. You'll get to meet him in a second. He and Abe are gonna talk. So let's get to business. Abe.
What's up, my man?
You ready to make history or what?
Are we doing this?
Yes.
All right, let's do this.
So first off, real quick, what
Sure.
mic have you chosen to use most of the time when you're recording?
Most of the time, the Delphos. I just love the body that I get out of it, the warmth, the vintagey sound, out of the uke. So that's the one I've been using usually.
Yeah,
This
point
one,
at which one.
This
Yeah.
one right here.
And this is your main uke, right? You have two with you today, but
Yeah.
this is your main uke.
This is my main axe.
Right.
Yep. It's a rosewood spruce tenor ukulele.
And it sounds very, very nice too.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
let's hear a little bit of that with just you playing with the Delphos a little bit there.
Okay. With the track?
No,
or-
just you.
And go.
Very nice and full. I mean, the Delphos 2 is one of my all-time favorite mics. But just for reference, let's hear now. Can you play something similar?
Sure,
I got
sure,
the 47 up.
There you go. Yeah, something like that.
Nice. It's very different articulation between these two mics.
Yeah.
I kind of chose these two for a reason today. One, the Delphos is what Abe usually uses, which just happens to be one of my favorites. But also the Mini K is, to me, it's a completely different tool. And we're going to do this in context in just a second. You'll hear what I'm talking about. But between just those two mics, I could almost go into any recording situation and have the right sound. I can get nice and full and open and very even across the spectrum, or I can get something that has a bit more of a point on it that, say, could cut through a denser mix, or if you needed to be able to hear it without necessarily turning the volume up, which happens quite often. So let's do this. Let's go back to the Delphos. Let's run a little bit this with the track.
Great.
Okay?
Okay.
4 to 7. Okay, we're on the Delphos. All right, buddy. Here we go.
Right on.
Nice.
Hey!
I
sounded
just
great.
kind of let you roll there. It sounded so good. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let this roll out, man. Nice.
Hey, Charlie, question for you.
Shoot.
You hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
So there was a comment about some people in the chat were saying that maybe with the full band that the Delphos is too full, too much bottom end on the uke, maybe stepping on the kick drum a little bit. What would you like? So first question is, let's recap if there's any EQ on any of these sources.
No, the only EQ I have is a tiny, tiny bit on the kick drum, and what am I doing? I have the EQ on, oh, the rack tom, I'm just pulling a little, and that's it. The ukuleles, the ukes, all flat, bass flat. The majority of the drum sound is flat, and no compression. I have a tiny bit on just on the stream itself, but other than that, this is exactly what the players sound like through the microphones.
And so if someone was of the opinion that the bottom end of the ukulele was too heavy for the kick, what would you suggest to mitigate that? How would you handle that?
Well, that's a great question. That's kind of what we were going to lead into with these two different mics. You could do one of two things. One, we're going to hear this because I recorded the 47.2 with that. You could try a different mic, but if you like the sound of the Delphos, the thing I would do is I'd go down to that low end and find kind of where maybe either in the kick, depending on what you want to be the lead. In this song, I'd probably take a little from the ook and just find where it's clouding up against the kick drum the most and then just dip that a little bit. I may even cut out, I mean, I'm not cutting anything. I'm not doing even any EQ in the box. So I'm not even low cutting just whatever might be on the bottom because there's not going to be that much in the ukulele. So I would probably be just a little bit of a dip on an EQ on the ukulele or try a different mic, because personally, I kind of like it thick like that because there's only a few things. I may even dip around the bass. I may go to the bass first and see if I can take a little bit there to open up space for the fullness in the body of the ukulele to stay in and still have the kick drum there a little bit. Because there's three different relationships happening, not just kick drum and ukulele. The bass has a big part in that as well.
Right on, yeah. Well, what impressed me during soundcheck was that the ukulele instrument is about that big, but it sounded a lot bigger. So that was cool.
Well, it's interesting. The two ukuleles that he brought are very different sounding, which we'll get to in just 1 second. First, to kind of answer the question that Matt, you had from the YouTube comments, I'm going to pick a random section of the song here. And I'm going to start with the Delphos again, just to let everybody hear, and then I'm going to switch to the MK47 to hear the difference. So this is Delphos. And here it is, the MK47. See, just by switching the mic, you automatically get in a completely different area, and it opens up a lot of that low mid area that may be getting a little bit thick with the Delphos. Which is, to go back to what you started with at the top, Matt, it's like you've got each of your mics has a different purpose. And it works out well. We didn't EQ, we didn't compress, didn't do anything. All I did was try another microphone. And they both sound really good.
For people who like large microphones, there's the Delphos. And for people who like the smaller microphones, there's the Mini K47.
That is an oversimplification of your mics, but I like it, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, you can really tailor to what your personal preference is by just picking, the right mic or the right couple mics. For me, I can never have enough mics because it's all, circumstantial, right? Whatever session comes in, however the player plays, how the instrument sounds, how the room reacts that day, all these things come in, and I may have the mic I love and I put it up, but I hear it with the music, which is what we did in the very beginning. We had a different kick drum up. We had a 20, and it sounded really good, and they were playing, and it was just bass and drums, but it just wasn't at this tempo with this groove. It was so in and out. So even though it sounded great, we picked another kick drum, and all of a sudden it worked a little bit. It filled up a little bit more space. Same concept with the microphones, because you listen to the 47. That's the Delphos. Let me go to the 47. It's got a little sparkle on it already, where the Delphos is very natural sounding, very warm. But I wouldn't call it dark, but it's definitely warmer.
Well, yeah, by comparison, a lot of times those things are relative. Even within a microphone, if you take a bright microphone and turn down the top end, people will say, "Oh, the bottom end is so much bigger," and I'm like, "No, it's exactly the same. You just couldn't hear it before." So yeah, Delphos to Mini K47. Mini K47 comes off as brighter. Delphos is actually pretty flat, pretty neutral.
Which is why it works so well on so many different things. But the way you voiced the 47 is very useful. That's one reason I do like it on overheads, because a lot of the times, and I hear the same thing in the ukulele here, that when I go to that mic, I kind of already hear a little bit of that finished sparkle with it. It's there. So for drums, I probably wouldn't have to add much more high end to my overheads, right? Because it's already there in a very nice way with the microphone.
Yeah, smooth response. And it's also, the Mini K47 is not bright in the sense of like inexpensive microphone bright, meaning 8, 9, 12, 15K, just sort of hyped in the those top octaves where it kind of gets painful and causes your converters to, kind of go sideways. It's great for drums. I like them on drums a lot because they bring out frequencies, but strings too. That's the weird thing about that mic, is that there's so many different sounding sources that seem to really speak through it. And it's interesting to me when guitarists will put a Mini K47 on their guitar and they say, finally my instrument sounds the way I hear it in the room, which is great. That's a great thing. I don't understand it because the mic is not flat. You would think that a flat neutral mic would give you what you hear in the room, because it's literally giving you what's there in the room. But audio perception doesn't work that way.
No.
So.
And I'm seeing same here on our YouTube. There's some votes for the 47, and someone votes for the Delphos. I mean, that's one beautiful thing about all this, is we all hear it a little bit differently, and we're all going to use these tools a little bit differently, which is what keeps the music, kind of fresh. But for me, even if you had a small studio at home, I still think it would be important to have a couple different mic choices, whether it be for vocal, guitar, bass, whatever it may be, so you have a way to tweak your sound at the source as much as possible to kind of get that sound first. Because I do find, although you can do a million things after the fact, the closer you get to what you want at the source, the easier it is to manipulate later on and not make it feel like it's been manipulated, unless you're building sound effects. So in this case, even these two microphones, they're very different, but between those two, I could cover such a broad range of sessions that I do with just those two microphones on, well, in this case, ukulele. Also, if you've seen in the other videos, the same thing with drums, acoustic guitar, any of those things. So I do think it's important to have a couple options. For me, it's like a sickness. I can't have enough. I'm gonna need new storage for all the microphones. But what do you, Abe, you're using the Delphos 2 now. Have you used the others at all?
I have, again, for a different purpose. If I want more bite, something to be a little bit more open, brighter sounding, that's when I've used the 47. If it's something kind of more mellow or intimate, and I want to capture that, Delphos is the way to go, for me. So again, it's different tools,
Right.
Yeah, different colors, different tools. I can't say which one's better, you know, they're just different. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great
They're both
point.
phenomenal microphones. They're
Yes.
really, really great. Yeah.
They just do different things. And you could always, if you liked the fullness of the Delphos, you could always tame a little bit of the low mid and add some sparkle on the top and still have that roundness. You know, there's other
That's
ways
true,
to
right.
manipulate the sound to get what you want, as long as you're kind of getting that at the beginning. I do find it, me personally, for, you know, stringed instruments of, you know, acoustic guitars, in this case the ukulele, that getting, if I want body, it's important to capture the body. I really am not a big fan of trying to add that with EQ and other things later, because those instruments I don't think do well when you're like, oh man, I need some body down there to make it feel thick and round, and you're sitting there trying to EQ it. Yeah, maybe you can do it a little bit, maybe you get a little bit of it, but it always tends to sound a bit muddy that way. If you can get a mic that captures that in a good position in front of you somewhere to get that at the beginning, it's easier to take some of that away if you need to. Like in this case, we could tame the low end of that Delphos a little bit and still retain all the fullness from the mic. But if it's not there to start with, I find in, you know, 4-string, 6-string instruments like that, it's harder to add that body in and still sound good. Yeah. So record it right at the beginning.
Yes.
Okay, now you've got 2 ukes. Pull the other one up. This one sounds completely different.
And Abe, can you talk about the make and model of those
Sure,
ukuleles
yeah.
as well?
So my main instrument, the one that you just heard, it's a high G. I play a high G ukulele, standard tuning, G C E A, tenor ukulele. This one is rosewood back, rosewood side, Brazilian rosewood, and with a spruce top. So that's my main instrument. And and this one is made by Ko'olau, so made in Hawaii. And I've had it for about 16 years now. And this one, another ukulele that I brought, also a tenor, also fitted with a high G. This one is by Ohana ukuleles, and this one is all koa. So I'll play a little bit of it so you can kind of hear it.
And this is the Delphos on. I'm going to switch to the 47. Play a little bit more.
Okay. Do another key.
Hey, let's track a little bit of that one too.
Sure, yeah.
Let me get a group here for the ukulele real fast.
You want to do a full take?
Maybe not a full one with this.
Sure, okay.
We'll run, I don't know, about a minute and a half.
Sounds good.
And then we can kind of hear the difference between the two, because it is quite different. And I'm going to start out with the Delphos. Oh, I just muted everything. Now I'm going to start with the Delphos. All right, boss, you ready?
Ready.
Here we go. I kind of get caught up and I'm listening to all the stuff you're doing. I'm just like, I'm going to let this thing roll a little bit.
All good, all good.
So let's hear man, this ukulele sounds very different than the other one. I'm going to go to that same little loop we had before. So we just heard that that was Delphos. Now I'm going to hear that same with the 47. Back to the Delphos. Man, it is amazing.
You know what? With this one, I prefer the 47.
I do too.
With this uke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, but that's an interesting point too, because, and that's why I say having a couple options mic-wise, I think is important, because you may, like here, we both agree. I actually like the Delphos on the other one. I would go Delphos
awesome.
over the 47 on the other one, because I know just a tiny bit of EQ and I'd have the nice fullness and it'd poke through.
Yep.
But on this one, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
So you just don't really know until you kind of try it out a little bit.
For everyone listening, you got to get both.
Yes.
Got to get both. The lesson for today is you got to get both,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So let me jump in with a, hopefully not a sales pitch, but I mean, yeah, I'd love it if you buy both. But the point of this product line, and for those of you who know my DIY product line, mic parts, the point is that all these mics sound different. And why? Because you're seeing this in action. Because as you go from one instrument to the next, or you bring in a band, the instrumentation changes. The production, one day it's a ballad, and the next day it's some kind of bigger, broader, belting kind of tune, whatever. As all these other sonic characteristics change, the needs of the microphone change, like what you want to get out of it changes. And so what we did to help facilitate this, so the concept that I talk about is called sonic diversity. If you have only one microphone, or if all your microphones sound the same, you're going to be in some rough sessions, because that whatever that mic is, doesn't matter how good it is, there's going to be sources that come up that just that microphone isn't great for whatever reason. And so
we actually talked about that same thing with Ross, Matt, when we did that Zoom call. Exactly that same thing he did with the Kalaris and guitars, where he had a go-to mic that was just he usually used, and it wasn't working that day, and he pulled out a Kalaris, and bam, it was perfect.
Right. Yeah. So what we do on the Mini Ks is we have the Mini K47 and the Mini K87, and we're going to give one of those away, as part of this stream. In fact, I actually was going to do something that I hadn't done before. Let's see if this works. Yeah. Can you guys see that? Ernesto, can I go full screen? Just so people can see. So this is the inside of the Mini K47, and this mic is designed and tested and assembled, designed, assembled, and tested in California. In fact, designed in the chair that I'm sitting in right now. And we've kind of gone through this and picked parts by ear across the board. So some really nice electrolytics, some vintage film caps that we matched to better than 1%, more vintage film caps down here. The parts selection changes from one mic to the next because we use the parts to help these mics realize their sonic identities. That sounds like maybe a more pretentious thing than I mean it, but the point is these mics are supposed to sound different. And so we pick components that are in service of that goal. So the Mini K47 is supposed to sound a certain way, so we pick components that give us that sound. Mini K87 is supposed to sound its certain way, so we pick some different components, notably including the capsule. That's like where 95% of the sound comes from, but even down to the resistors in the circuit and things like that. All those parts matter. So these mics are made in, all, like I said, assembled and tested all here in my shop, and we're really proud of them. We've done well with them. But I guess the thing I wanted to say was that we have a thing called the mixed pair, which gets to this goal of sonic diversity. The point is to give people a discount if they're willing to, if they believe in the same vision that I do, which is that you need mics that sound different. And so the mixed pair is a Mini K47 and a Mini K87 together in a box, and it sells for a lower price than if you bought the two mics by themselves. And that gives you a lot of sonic choices. So it would be similar to what you're getting from the Mini K47 and the Delphos. The Mini K87 is not a Delphos. It's a smaller mic. It's a single pattern, no switches or anything, but it pursues that same kind of neutral sound as the Delphos 2 does. So it's a way to get two different sounds, at a lower price. And that way, if you have a lot of guitars or ukuleles or whatever, instrument or voices, if you have different singers or if you sing in different ways for different things, these two mics would give you, a lot of territory, let you cover a lot of sonic territory. That's it.
Exactly. Which is why I use all four of them almost on every single session. Matt, was there anything other announcement-wise that you want to go over?
I'll just repeat that in case you just joined or didn't hear earlier, we are giving away a mic. The winner will get to pick Mini K47 or Mini K87 or Mini K47 KD if you need a kick drum mic. And to enter, leave a comment in the video after the stream. You can't leave a comment until the stream's over. So leave a comment, and then we'll do a random drawing based on all the commenters.
And for those of you watching on the Ultimate Studios YouTube channel, you have to go to the Roswell channel for that. So if you want to win a mic, pop on over there.
Yeah, and also actually, as a logistical thing, I think we have to announce the winner on a YouTube comment because I'm not going to know who you are. So check back. I'll post a comment. I think that's the only way to do it is, for me to post a comment and say, hey, XYZ, you just won a mic. And then you'll have to reach me via email to claim it.
Okay, Ernesto, go sign up for a YouTube channel named XYZ.
That's right. Winner's already in.
Okay, we got to do one last thing before we do a little bit of playing out here.
Sure. What do you want to do?
We need to meet the other part of the rhythm section, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's been sitting back here behind me patiently listening. Dude, pop out there and say hi.
Bring him in.
But go say hello. This is important, man. We got to get all the players in. So, you guys, Abe played drums. He's a really good drummer. And obviously you, because you've been watching him play the uke on this. But the other part of the rhythm section, you got to show some love to the bass players, man. So whenever things go wrong on a gig, never blame the bass player. Now, Abe, he's on the album too, right? Has he played on any of the recordings with you?
We've done a bunch of recordings together. Not on this album, but we've done a bunch of records together. Yeah.
I mean, we've played together since
we've done mostly
early
live.
2000s.
Yeah.
And since we were like in kindergarten.
Yeah. Now we play a lot together around town. Just all sorts of different things, jazz gigs.
Yeah.
Solid bass player, so I had him come down and play some bass. Originally, Matt wanted me to play bass. I'm like, I'm not the strongest bass player. Let me actually get a real bass player. I think I got my hands full with the drums and uke. It would have been kind of fun to see me moving around, but it's a little bit too much for me to think about.
I would have liked to seen that.
Yeah. I was like, let me bring in a real bass player.
Yeah.
So thanks, Gary, for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you sounded great, man.
Thank you.
Fantastic sounding rig too.
Yeah.
Can you talk through Gary, can you talk through the bass and the cab and all that part?
Yeah, so the amplifier is an old original Ampeg B15 flip top. It's had some work done on it through the years, but my dad was a bass player, and that was his gigging amp when I was born. And now I'm using it, and I actually just got it out here from New York, where I grew up, and was very excited to have this opportunity to fire it up for the first time out here in LA. So it's a classic original Ampeg flip top, the nice warm tube sound. And what I'm playing today is this great new bass by Nordstrom Audio called the Asynonix. It's this cool, really versatile, fun new bass. It's a short scale bass, lots of tonal options designed in the bass, and I'm running that through the Nordstrom Audio Starlifter preamp DI straight into the amp. So what we were hearing today was that bass through the preamp into the Ampeg, and then the Roswell Audio, I think it's the Colaris, yeah? We started with the Mini 87. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, I think we started with the 87.
Yeah, the 87.
Moved over to the
which
Polaris.
sounded amazing. It was really cool. And then we were discussing changing a couple settings on the amp, and then said, well, let's try one of the different mics and see. And then that seemed to be the answer to get the right, for the bass to sit in the right place when it's just trio of ukulele and drums, right? But man, like between both mics, I was like, I'm having a fun day. You know?
Again, options.
And then when we, and after we did a little tracking of just a little bit to check sounds, we went into the control room to listen. And after a little bit, I said, what am I hearing? Is the DI signal in there? Or is it just just the microphone? I said, wow, okay, all set.
Yeah,
sounded great in
I've
the
had
mix.
the DI, the volume all the way off this whole time. We've only been listening to the mic on the amp.
Yeah, which
amazing.
is
Great.
great. I mean, it's great to have it in there, like if you need it for something. But when you're getting a great amp sound, and for me, this has always been a test of a great microphone. If the sound in the room is being replicated the way you're hearing it, the way you want it to sit in the mix, then the job is done, right? It's all set. We talked about that a little bit before. Like, I mean, you can sit there and play with the EQ if this mic you're choosing isn't quite sitting where you want it, and you can get there. Or we have options. Let's try another mic and see. And it's just great, really fun when the microphone can replicate the sound you're trying to get to, and there it is.
Yeah.
Fun.
Sorry, I'm trying to multitask and answer, something on the YouTube channel. I was hoping you were going to talk longer. Then you didn't.
So, well, I can go on. So then, so each string. No.
No, but thank both of you guys for being here. This has been a lot of fun listening to you both of you play, and it's all sounded really good. Hang has been fun. Abe, where can everyone find you online? Give us the lowdown on where you at.
Sure, website, abelagrimasjr.com. Instagram, same handle. That's Abe, ABELAGRIMAS, JR. You got the whole same social media, right? Instagram.
Yeah. It's all on there. My handle is Bassy Groove, BASSYGROOVE. On all the socials.
Got the new
Abe,
record too. Check out
There
the
you
new
go.
record. Also, you can get it off the website. Both physical copies, CDs, actual CD here, and digital as well.
I remember those.
I know, right?
Those are coasters, right?
Yeah, of course. It's a coaster first.
I miss physical products, man.
It's
I
a coaster
totally
that
miss
can
it.
also play music.
There you go. Well, both of you guys, thank you for being here. Matt, is there anything else you want to add?
I will just repeat that we're giving away a couple copies of Abe's CD. So post something to the chat, because that's how you enter the CD giveaway. And if you're in the U.S., we'll send you a CD coaster. And if you're elsewhere, we'll get you the digital copy. I'm old school. I still buy CDs of almost everything because it's just makes more sense to me. Anyway, to each his own. But thank you guys. Both of you sounded fantastic. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Ernesto. This has been great. So, Charlie, we're going to get a little musical accompaniment on the way out?
Yeah, you want to play us out,
Sure.
Abe?
Are we doing
Nah, just give us something new.
just something? Okay.
Yeah, give us a little taste of something else.
Okay.
Right on. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Good to see everybody.
We'll see you next time.